Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. So today we are going to, this was, I know I did a canning video not too long ago with beef, but I've had a lot of people ask me to do another canning video with the pork that I got on my payday prep. Okay, so I hope this is not too repetitive, but I'm trying to fulfill a little bit of demand here, and I have to do this anyways, right? So why not record it and put up a video so that we can chat about it on Sunday's premiere. Okay, so this is what we're going to do today. This is just one. I've got 3 more of these, and then I've got 4 of the smaller ones. So I just wanted to show you that these have a little bit of a bone in them. Okay, so it's going to take a while for me to cut these up, but there's only one thing different that I'm going to do with this as far as my cuts than what I did with the beef. So with these, or with the beef that I did, if you were to notice, I cut them in small bite-sized pieces. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to cut this one in bigger pieces, because the intention for the beef that I canned, all of those jars are intended for making like beef stews or pot pies and things like that. For the pork, more than likely what I'll use this for is for tacos, or for shredded pork that you can put over rice, or for pulled pork. And I don't want the pieces to be too small on that one. So what I'm going to do, and look at that, isn't that pretty meat? That is pretty. So the way I'm going to cut these is going to be in about longer pieces. So I'm going to cut them about this. Let me show you right here. I hope you can see this really well. Let me move this to the side. All right. I'm going to cut them in lengths about this long right here. So that's probably, I would say probably about 3 to 4 inches long. All right. And pieces something like this. That way when I stuff them in there, they won't, they'll still have some kind of integrity as far as the size. Okay, so they won't really get too small, because the meat, when you put it in your cans, when they're under the pressure, all right, they do get a little smaller from the water that is taken out of them during the canning process. Okay, so I'm going to cut them around this size. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to cut all of this in front of you, because, ladies and gentlemen, I've got about 35 pounds of meat to cut, and I'm sure you don't want to be watching me for the next hour, hour and a half, which is about how long it's going to take me to cut all this meat, all right? Because first I take them off the package, I rinse them off really good, give them a good scrub down with my hands, and then I bring them on here to cut them, all right? And I also have to cut around these bones, which won't be too difficult, all right, because I have a pretty sharp knife. However, I'm sure you don't want to be watching me do that. Another thing I'm going to do with this is, these have a pretty good amount of fat in them already, all right? So this thick layer of fat that you see on the top, I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to save it, and then what I'm also going to do is I'm not going to do it in this canning video, because I don't think I'll have enough room in my canners, because I think I'm going to get a lot of jars filled up from all this meat. I'm going to render the fat, make some lard, all right, and then can some lard. All right, so that's what I'm going to do, because I've got a lot of these, and I'm sure that I'll end up with probably 1 batch of lard out of all this meat. All right, so that's what I'm going to do with this one also, just so you know. All right, so the next time that you see me, or the next time that I come on, I'll have all of the meat cut up, and probably about 3/4 of the jars full, and then I'll finish filling up the rest of the jars, because this is the only really large bowl that I have, and I do almost everything in that, as you've seen before. I do my bread and stuff in that. So I'm going to go ahead, whenever I fill one of these bowls up, I'm going to go ahead and fill up my jars, all right? And then when I'm down to the last bowl, I'll bring you guys back, and we'll finish filling up the last 10 or so jars together. Okay, and let me show you guys. Look at this. These are all of the jars that I told you that I got off of Craigslist. All right, I got all these jars for $15, and not one of them is bad. Someone made a recommendation that I should put them through a pressure canning cycle before I use them, you know, like by themselves, to make sure that none of them have cracks. I didn't really have the time to do that today, and it's a very good recommendation, by the way. All right, no, not saying that it's not. It's a very good recommendation. However, what I did is I hand washed every single one of these, and I inspected every one of them really well. Okay, and check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Look at, I got one of these little lids. You don't find those anymore, right there. So that's what I did with these jars, is I hand washed them really well. I let them soak for probably about an hour, and then I came back and I hand washed them. I hand scrubbed them really well. Okay, so I'm pretty confident that those are good. Those look like they're really good jars. They're older jars, and they actually look to me like they're better quality than the jars that we have now. So I'm pretty sure that those will do pretty well. So, hey, really quick, ladies and gentlemen, while I have you on here, let me go ahead and do a quick shout out to Robert and Christina, someone who kept themselves anonymous, and Dr. Kit. All right, thank you guys very much for buying me, and you guys also bought Victor a coffee as well for his birthday tomorrow. So thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it. A real funny story real quick. I kept calling Dr. Kit a he, thinking, you know, automatically I'm thinking that it's a he, but Dr. Kit is a she. So Dr. Kit, I know you're a she now, so I'll either call you doctor or ma'am from now on. All right, so thank you very much. It is very much appreciated. And later on, maybe in between one of our scenes, I'll do a subscriber shout out, because we've had a few subscribers this week, and I really want to shout you guys out to thank you and recognize you for joining one of the best communities on YouTube. And I truly do believe that, and it's because of you guys. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, let me get busy here. I've got a lot of cutting to do, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Oh, one more thing. You see, I keep forgetting. I'm getting old and senile. A lot of you told me that you want me to do a video on how I do my bagels and my sourdough. So I've already done my batch of bagels today, as you guys saw if you saw my post, and I've already made the sourdough. All right. So, however, the bagels will be gone in about 3 or 4 days. So I'll be doing another batch of bagels sometime in the middle of the week. And then you guys can, you know, I'll do a video and put that up for those of you that want to see how I do it. Now, I know there's probably dozens, if not hundreds, of videos out there on YouTube on how people do bagels. And, you know, it's pretty much the same concept. I just have my own way of doing it, that I do it. All right. So it's nothing fancy, but it produces a really good product, I think. Very tasty at a fraction, and I mean a fraction of the price of what it costs at the stores. Same thing with the sourdough. Here, let me give you a little preview of my sourdough. This is what my sourdough looks like. It's wrapped in plastic right now, but it came out very nice, and it came out very tasty, ladies and gentlemen. The sourdough came out very tasty. So I had to do a taste test, all right, to make sure that it was going to be of good quality for Victor's birthday tomorrow. All right, so stay tuned for those videos. All right, and of course, towards the end of the video, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know who the winner is of the pressure cooker. All right, you guys are going to have to take my word for it this time, because I'm not doing a screenshot recording. As you can see, I'm using my high-tech camera that's on my phone. All right, so you won't actually see me get the numbers, but I will do the number, the random number, and I will let you guys know who the winner is before the end of this video. All right, so stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoy this video. I hope that you guys are ready to do some canning so that you can, number one, save some money, and number two, have some long-term food storage. All right, so we'll see you in a little bit. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, I'm almost done. This is all I've got left right here. Maybe enough for 1 or 2 jars. So I'm sure that those of you that have seen my other videos have seen how I pack the meat, but I like to save at least 1 or 2 jars, so that if anyone here is watching for the first time or wants to know more about canning, who hasn't canned, I show you how I do it. This is not something that you want to be afraid of getting your hands dirty, okay, ladies and gentlemen? All right, this is the best way that I've found to do this, is with my hand. By going in there and pushing the meat down, trying to get rid of as many as many air pockets. I was going to say meat pockets as you can. Okay, and now to tell you the truth, I've been doing this for a while, or I've done this a lot. Okay, over the years. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have a lot more experience than I do. But the truth is that I've never had a problem if I had a little air pocket here or there. I've never had a problem with it. And honestly, I don't know what the issue is with having an air pocket. And if one of you guys would like to leave it in the comments, exactly why is it, I guess, kind of like taboo, or, you know, or you shouldn't ever have air pockets, or as little air pockets as you can. I've never really asked anyone what is the issue with there being an air pocket for pressure can when you're pressure canning, or even doing what do you call it, water bath method. I've never really figured out what the issue is with that, and I would like to know just for my own information. So as you can see, that's it. Let's see how many jars we made. I still have to put salt in them. There's only about a half a jar in there, but what I think I'm going to do with this, I think I'm still going to process it if I have room, and then just open it and eat it, you know, have it for a meal. So we ended up with all that meat. Now I ended up having probably about 5 pounds of fat, all right, and bones that I took out. What I'm going to do with all that fat is I'm going to render it down and make it into lard. And I also put some good pieces of meat in there to make pork rinds, all right? So, well, pork rinds is really the pork belly and part of the skin cut off. In Dominican Republic, we have something that we call chicharrón. And it's where you take a piece of the pork belly with some of that meat on it, and you deep fry it in its own lard, and you cook it until it's really crispy, and it's really, really good. We normally eat it with a little bit of salt and lime on top of it, and it's really good. So that's what I'm planning on doing with the trimmings that I got. But let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. We've got 26 and a half. 26 and a half, okay? So look at that. That's going to be just enough for me to be able to run both of my pressure canners at the same time and do all of these jars at the same time. Because one of my T-Fal pressure canner will take up to 18 pints, and my Presto, the smaller one that I have, will take 7 pints. Okay, so I think we counted 25. I should be able to get both of them on there at the same time. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to do something real quick to show you guys how much meat you actually put in there. So let me turn on my scale so we can see what our average is. What's the average pound, you know, number of pounds of meat that you can fit in one of these jars. So if we take the jar by itself is 9.3 ounces. Okay, so we're going to tear it. We're going to zero it out. All right, and then let's go ahead and get one of our jars here. Look at that, 15.30. So it's just shy of a pound of meat that we fit in there. Let's see what they average out at. This one's just shy of 15. This one's 15 on the money. So you're figuring you've got about just shy of 1 pound of meat in each of those jars. All right, that you can stuff in there. So that's pretty good. So now what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is if you've seen me before, you'll know that I like to put just a little bit of salt in each of my jar. That's the only spice that I put because I like to leave it a little bit neutral. That way I can use that meat for whatever kind of a dish I would like. So I'll normally add the spice at the end. I like putting just a little bit of salt in it because I think that it helps to bring the flavor out of that meat while it's processing, and I think it makes it a lot tastier. Now, whenever I do a quart, I'll put a full teaspoon of salt in there. But since we're doing pints, I'm only putting a half a teaspoon of salt for every one of these pints. And all I do is I just, it's not in, you don't have to be 100% accurate. If it's a little bit over or a little less than a teaspoon, it's no big deal. Or a half a teaspoon. And someone asked me before if you have to put salt. And no, you don't. You don't have to put salt in this if you don't want to. And someone also asked me in a prior comment, someone asked me if you can put spices in these meats when you pressure can them. And I have in the past, and I've never had any problems with putting in any kind of spices that I wanted to put in there. I've actually even put in the past, I've put like gravy. So in the past, I've cooked, I've pressure canned turkey. All right. I'll tell you a quick story while I'm putting this salt on here. My wife used to work for a company that was a contractor for a supermarket. And every time that they had extra stuff, they would allow their employees to take it home instead of throw it away. So about 4 years ago or so, 4 or 5 years ago, I'm thinking it's more like 4 years ago, their company ordered 2 pallets of turkeys too early for Thanksgiving. They ordered it about a month too early for Thanksgiving. So they ended up telling their employees to take all the turkeys they wanted. They just wanted to get rid of it. So my wife shows up to the house, and we didn't used to live here at that time, but we used to live somewhere else. But my wife shows up to the house with like 9 turkeys. We ended up giving away, I believe, 2 of them. And we ended up cooking 1 for us. And then the other 6, I ended up boiling them in broth and processing them. So I ended up hot packing 6 turkeys over a weekend. All I did for a full weekend was I was boiling 1 turkey in broth and then letting it get cooled down and then tearing it up, into shreds, and then hot packing it into jars and processing it. And a few of them, I ended up putting turkey gravy. The turkey gravy mix? I ended up putting some of that turkey gravy mix in there with the turkey and the broth, and it came out really good. All right, so use your imagination. If you're not sure about something, then just go ahead and try 1 jar. So if you're, for example, if I wanted to try some barbecue sauce in one of these jars, right? If I had, if I just wanted to see how it came out, I'll just put barbecue sauce in one and see how it comes out. And if I really like it, the next time that I process pork, maybe I'll make a full batch of pork with barbecue sauce, right? So just try it out. Don't go all in if you don't know whether you're going to like it or not. But maybe try 1 out. The worst that can happen is that you really don't like it and it goes to the dog or the pigs or the goats or whatever animals you may have. Because especially dogs, they'll eat anything. I know a dog is right here just looking at me with all these, cutting this meat for the last hour or hour and a half, really. So just give it a try. And worst that can happen, like I said, is that you don't like it. Not that big of a deal. But yeah, you should be able to put almost any spices that you would like into these and process it just like you were processing it without spices. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut off real quick. I'm going to wash my hands and I'm going to clean these rims off really, really well, okay? Because pork fat likes to stick around, all right? It's like a sticky fat. So I'm going to clean these rims off really well. I'm going to go ahead and save the last 2 and not clean them and show you guys how I clean them. That way you can have a good idea of what it is that I do before I put my lids on and my rings on before I put them in the pressure canner, all right? So we're only a few minutes away from actually having these starting on the pressure canner and start processing, all right? So I'll be back in about 1 second your time, obviously a few minutes mine. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting closer to processing time. I'm getting kind of excited because I've been cutting meat, or I cut meat for almost 2 hours when I looked at the clock. And you know how I told you guys that I love doing this stuff? And I do. But after a while, you just need a break. So I've cleaned off all of my jars except for 2. And I wanted to show you guys how I did it when I do pork, okay? Like I said, to me, you know, people are different, and, you know, people may see different things differently than I do. But to me, pork fat, it melts a lot easier to me than like beef fat. So to me, I think it's easier to contaminate the rim when you're processing pork than it is beef. All right, to me, beef is a pretty clean fat that doesn't really melt so fast. And that's just me. All right, you may have different experience. So what I like to do is I take a clean, all right, sponge. And if you guys don't know this little trick about cleaning your sponge, you know how sometimes you'll let a sponge stay in the sink, and even if it's not completely soaked, it'll stink. What you do is once you're done doing your dishes or using your sponge, you put a little bit of soap on your sponge, you know, or, you know, dish soap, and you rinse it. And then you squeeze it really hard until almost everything is out, until you can get almost everything out. And then you take it and you put it in your microwave for 30 seconds. All right, that sanitizes it. Okay, so then what I do is and it leaves a little residue of soap on the sponge, and it's pretty dry. Okay, you see, I have to squeeze really, really hard in order for you to see any little bubbles, right? That's how you want it. And then I grab myself a clean paper towel. And then, ladies and gentlemen, when you've been working at this for so long, all right, the more tired you get, I've noticed, or at least I'll tell you about myself. About myself, the more tired I get when I'm doing something, the more impatient I get. So once you're to this spot where you're almost to the end before you actually put your jars in your canners or your canner, all right, take your time and be patient, okay? Because you don't want to do all this work, grab a sponge, all right, and have too much soap on it or something, and then drip the soap in there, and then and then you're going to ask yourself, man, I wonder if it'll be all right if I just do that, all right? So just don't do that. Just take your time, be patient, all right? So all I do is I grab my sponge, and I don't go like this. I go like this, right? I put it on the side like this, and then I squeeze down a little bit. Not very hard, just enough to get the rim, all right? And enough so that the sponge won't touch that meat. And then I just give it a few turns. I do that. I grab my towel, or my paper towel, and then I just dry it off, okay? And that's dry. All right, same thing. You just find a different spot. Go like this. You know, make sure that your hands are nice and clean. That way you can have a good grip on your jar. That's it. I'm done with the sponge. That was my last one with the sponge. And grab your towel. That easy, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure it's nice and clean, right? Okay, now I'm going to grab a new paper towel that's nice and clean. I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to grab myself a little bit of vinegar, okay? I'm just going to wet the towel. I'm going to wait until I can feel it on the other side of my fingers, okay? Now, with vinegar, if you do end up getting a little bit in there, it won't hurt anything, okay? Same thing with this. Just go like this. You're done, all right? And I just work them all the way down. I make a new row every time I do it. Boom. Okay. It's not rocket science, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you that have never done this and that are thinking about doing this, let me tell you guys, this is not rocket science. If I can do this, anybody can do this. Heck, Little Miss Alaska Prepper can do this. She's seen me do it so many times. Okay? Just keep in mind, don't be in too much of a hurry, all right? You'll get in a rhythm. But just make sure that you're feeling the back of this. If it starts feeling like it's a little too dry, go ahead and reload it. Go ahead and put a little more vinegar in it. Or on your paper towel. Like, for example, right now I'm starting to feel it get a little bit dry. Okay, and that ought to get me through. Let me put this over here out of the way. Let's go ahead and do that. I think I already did this one, but it's not. Might have done that one too. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of those, and then I'll come back when I've got most of the lids on, and then for those of you that haven't seen me put the lids on before, there is a way that I like to make sure that my lids are on, all right, to make sure that there's no failure after I put the rings on. So I'll be back when I've got about 3 or 4 lids left to put on, and then we'll take it from there, okay? So we'll see you in a little bit. Alrighty, almost done, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so let me go ahead and redo this one here. So as you can see, I have my lids in hot water. Now, from what I understand, I've been told this by many community members, that the new ball lids no longer need to be pre-soaked in hot water. It just happens that these lids that I have here are the old ones, okay? So even when I get the new ones, all right, because I haven't bought any new ones lately, but even when I do get the new ones, I think I'm still going to do this because it's the way I've always done it, and it just feels right to me, okay? But just in case any of you were thinking, why am I soaking these in hot water? I like to do it to make sure that the seal or the gasket, whatever you may call that thing down there, I don't know what to call it, the seal or the gasket, gets nice and sticky, okay? So if you don't have one of these little tools, go ahead and get one. I just got this tool not that long ago. I've always said, no, I don't need that. I'm not going to spend the $2 on it. And I've gone years without having one of these. And this thing is so handy that I feel pretty dumb for not having gotten one, you know, earlier than this. All right. But all you do is you grab your lid, okay? And you're going to put it on your jar, if you can see. What I like to do is I like to make sure that I center it. Okay? That I center it, and then I press down just a little bit, not hard, all right? And then, as I'm putting the ring on it, all right? As I'm putting the ring on, let me make sure you guys can see. As I'm putting the ring on it, I put my finger on it to make sure that that lid doesn't move. Okay, you see it's on there? Now, I grab the jar with my left hand, and I just give this a little twist. It doesn't have to be on tight, and you shouldn't put it on tight, all right? Or else it may affect the way that it seals, all right? So we'll do that again a few times. I just put the lid on, okay? Let me move this over here. I want to make sure that for those of you that are not familiar with this, that you can see. I put the lid on. I just make sure that it's centered. And as it's centered, I press down on it just a little bit. Not hard at all, okay? I put my lid on with my finger down on the lid. I mean, I put my ring down with my finger down. And this ring, sometimes they don't thread right. Just take it off, be patient, and rethread it, okay? Don't try to force it. And then once you got it down there, just give it a nice little twist. That's it. Doesn't have to be hard, all right? So we go. Press down on it, bring it down. And everything I'm doing here, ladies and gentlemen, is without force, okay? You don't need to be strong to do this. This is without force. And trust me, I've got arthritis in both my hands, all right? So it's without force. Actually, the more force you use, the more chance of failure that you will have with this, okay? So you don't need any force with it. Even when I press down on it, it's just barely pressing down on it. There's not a lot of torque there. All right? Putting your lid on. There you go. And there we go. Our lid is on. We are ready to start putting these in the canner. Right? Now I'm going to start grabbing these. I got a canner right next to me. And I've got my other canner over by the sink. So I'm going to try to put all these in there while you guys are still here with me. Let's see, let's grab this. And I'm going to show you guys too. I'm hoping that I can show you the other canner when I clear some of this off. Now, ladies and gentlemen, even though there's no liquid in these jars, get in the habit of making sure that when you lift these, that you keep them straight and you don't tilt them, okay? Just get in that habit, all right? Because it's a good habit to have. especially when you're hot packing, all right? When you're hot packing and you got liquids in there, you want to make sure that you don't tilt these jars, because you don't want any of those liquids to get in between your seal and your rim, okay? Because that can affect how well your jar seals. Same thing when we are removing them from the pressure canner. We want to make sure that we don't tip them either, all right? Because that can affect the seal of that jar. Okay, so this T-Fal pressure canner, so whoever the lucky winner is going to be, and I haven't forgotten, ladies and gentlemen, I have not forgotten. Whoever the lucky winner is going to be for this T-Fal pressure cooker, and I'll show it to you here in a minute. I want to fill these up first. Is going to be very happy with it, I think, because it holds 18 pints. Is it 18? No, it holds 16 pints. Yeah, it holds 16 pints. I'm sorry. It holds 8 in the bottom and 8 on the top. And I do believe that my Presto, I think it's 7 of the wides that it holds. We're going to find out here in a second how many my Presto holds, because I'm going to show you my Presto, and I want to show you a couple of things on the Presto that you need to be on the lookout for, okay, to make sure that you don't have any accidents. And it looks like I have too many jars for this process, so we may have to put this Presto to work one more time. So here's my Presto, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let me go ahead and show it to you. Let me get the lid. All right. I just want to show you guys so you guys won't be discouraged. This is a really old Presto. I don't know how old it is, but I think it's older than I am. All right. I got it with a 10-pound weight, all right, which is what I require. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I got this Presto for $5, all right, off of Craigslist. All right, so those of you that may not be able to afford to buy a new one, by all means, don't be discouraged. Get on Craigslist and look for one. I get on Craigslist almost every lunchtime at work, and I just go and look for and see what's on there, just to see, right? Because you never know. And one day I found this Presto for $5. And the funny thing about this Presto is that the lady that sold it to me, she forgot to meet me on the day that we agreed to meet each other. So I called her, and she was very sorry that she forgot. I mean, think about it. It's a $5 sale. I'm sure she didn't really need the money. And I told her that I was willing to meet her the next day. And I met her the next day, and she offered it to me for free. And I said, no, I'm going to pay you what you're asking for it, because it's only right. And, but I could have gotten it for free, and you never know. That's my point. You never know on Craigslist. You never know. You may be able to get it for free. But, be on the lookout. And it looks like, ladies and gentlemen, that I may have to do another small batch, or put this in the fridge and I'll probably just put these in the fridge. I've got 2.5 of these. I'll probably just put them in the fridge, or maybe I'll throw them in the lard and fry them up when I render that lard. So I ended up with 2 more than what I can fit in my canner. So I've got 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So this one takes 8. The Presto takes 8 as well. That's great. All right. One thing you want to remember, ladies and gentlemen, with a Presto especially, with this T-Fal, the T-Fal pressure canner, and I'm going to show it to you here in a second for those of you that maybe haven't seen it. It has a mechanical weight on it, okay? So it's very easy for you to know whether the vent valve is stuck or not. But every time I use this Presto, before I use it, I always look through here. I always look through there, and I make sure that I can see light off of the other end. And I already did that. I don't think you can see it, through the camera. But, oh, yeah, look at that. You can see a little bit of the counter right there. See? I always make sure that I can see light through the other end. If I can't see light through the other end, I have a small brush that's used for cleaning straws, and I'll go ahead and push it in there. Make sure that this is clear, okay? Now, this does have a safety feature right here. All right, this right here, If this thing reaches too high of a pressure because this is stuck or something's wrong with it, this will pop off. All right, that's what this is there for. Okay, so the other thing that you want to make sure before you use it is to make sure to put a little bit of grease or Vaseline. I just use cooking oil. Okay, I just use cooking oil on my gasket. Put a little bit of cooking oil or Vaseline on your gasket, all right, to make sure that your rubber seal or your rubber gasket doesn't go bad. All right. Now the new canner, the T-Fal that I have here, has a, where is it? It has a silicone gasket. All right, but I still put a little bit of oil there anyways, just to be on the safe side. Okay, so this one has a silicone gasket, and like I said, it has what I call a mechanical weight. All right, so what I'm going to do is now I'm going to go ahead and put these on. I'm going to go ahead and grease these up. All right, grease up my seals or my gaskets, and then I'm going to go ahead and put some water in both of these. Now, the T-Fal says that it has to have at least 64 ounces of water in it, all right, but no more than 1/3 of the way up the canner, all right, of the height of the canner. So what I do is I always add 96 ounces. So I add, let's see, 4, 8, I add 12 cups of water to the T-Fal. And to the Presto, there's usually a little line on the inside. You're not going to be able to see it now, but on the Presto, I just go up about 1/4 of the way up from where the jars are at the bottom, all right? And that's about roughly 1/3 of it, okay? Because you still have the plate that goes on the bottom. You still have that there. So about 1/4 of the way up the jars will be roughly 1/3 the way up to this canner, all right? In addition, I also put in a little splash of vinegar in both canners, all right, to make sure that if there's any hardness to the water that I'm using, that the jars don't come out all cloudy and make it so that I have to work harder cleaning them once they're done, all right? You don't have to do that. That's not going to affect the pressure canning process. However, it just saves time so that you don't end up with dirty jars. Someone asked me before if you could use pure water instead of using vinegar. I don't see why not. And actually that sounds like it would work, that if you use pure water in here instead of adding vinegar, that your jars won't be cloudy. I've actually jarred a couple of batches with just my tap water that I get from the city and forgot to put vinegar in there, and the jars actually came out pretty clean. So I have pretty clean water. And then again, I do have a water filtration system as well, so that cleans the water before it comes out the tap. All right, so yeah, you can add vinegar to it or not. You don't have to, but if you do have hard water, your jars are going to come out a little bit dirty. All right, more than likely they will, okay, unless you have really good water coming out of your tap. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to put my water in, my splash of vinegar in, and then I'm going to grease my gaskets, and then I'm going to put them on the stove. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you guys back when there is steam coming out of the vent holes, all right? Because what we need to do is we need to make sure that we get these pressure canners up to temperature, all right? And allow steam to come out of the vent holes for at least 10 minutes before we put the weights on, okay? And I'll explain that to you again when we come back, all right? So I'll see you in a little bit. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Well, one of our pressure cookers is up to steam. The other one is not. The smaller one is up to steam here, the Presto. The T-Fal is still gaining steam, right? It's still gaining. I have the T-Fal on a smaller burner. I got the Presto on my big burner. Okay, so the Presto has already been steaming for 10 minutes. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and grab the weight. All right, this is a 10-pound weight. Now, if you've never done this before, depending on the altitude of where you live, depends on the weight that you have to use. From my understanding and what I've read, anything under 1,000 feet, you use 5 pounds of weight. anything at 1,000 feet or above, but below 5,000 feet, or I think it's maybe 4,400 feet, you use a 10-pound weight, which is where I'm at. I'm at about 1,060 feet or something like that, or 1,100 feet, you can say. So I'm going to use a 10-pound weight. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my 10-pound weight on, right? And when that weight starts tumbling around, meaning that the pressure inside of it is more than 10 pounds, right? I'm going to lower my heat to where I can still hear it do a very small whistle, all right? You're going to have to hear it tumbling a little bit throughout the whole time that it's on, all right? That's one of the things I like about this pressure cooker, is that you really don't hear that whistling noise throughout, right? You hear a very, very faint little whistle, but you barely hear it. But with this one, you will hear that little tumbling whistling noise, all right? So you're going to adjust your weight a little bit. I mean, you're going to adjust your heat a little bit to where you can still hear, but it's not that loud, all right? And now, as soon as I start hearing that whistling, I'm going to start my timer for 10 minutes, right? Once that 10 minutes is up, I am going to restart my timer for 90 minutes, all right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know what some of you that are experienced with this are thinking. You're thinking to yourself, why is he doing it for 90 minutes when he's cooking when he's pressure canning pints, all right? When you're pressure canning pints, you only have to keep it at pressure after that initial 10 minutes. You only have to keep it at pressure for 75 minutes. I like to be on the safe side, all right? I'm not saying that it makes it any better to do it for an extra 15 minutes, all right? But I always like to do it for a full 90 minutes. So once the initial 10 minutes has expired after we reach pressure, I am going to put my timer on for 90 minutes. However, every book I've ever read, or anyone who's ever told me anything about this that has more experience, has always told me that 75 minutes is plenty for pints, okay? But you do your own research and you decide what you want to do. I like to just use 90 minutes as a standard whenever I'm doing meats, okay? Now, if you're doing quarts, it's 90 minutes at least, okay? So whenever I'm doing meats and quarts, I do it for like 95 minutes to 100 minutes. I add an extra 5 to 10 minutes, okay? So that's what we're going to do with that. While these things are building up pressure, what we can do, ladies and gentlemen, is we are ready to, I told you guys that you were going to have to trust me because I wasn't doing a print screen, you know, a screen video today where you guys get to see the screen of my computers, that I'm using my high-tech phone camera. So what I did is while these things were building up to heat or to temperature, I went ahead and I put down the name of every original commenter, all right, on the video that was the entry video for this giveaway, right? And we came up with 129 original comments, okay? So everyone is on here, and I've already got my computer set to go to a number generator. So we've got 1 to 129, all right, 129. And there are no duplicates in here, okay? One of the reasons I like putting it on a spreadsheet is because it lets you know that there's a if there's a duplicate when you're typing it in. All right, so we're going to go now to our random number generator. And I always like to put just a random number in there to make sure that it's working. And it is. And now we'll put our 129. 129. Okay, so drum roll. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, I will pick an alternate, all right? So if whoever wins does not contact me, all right, this is the disclaimer. Let me go ahead and give you guys my disclaimer real quick. Whoever wins, if you do not contact me by Friday, this coming Friday, so I believe this coming Friday is the 29th, all right? If you don't contact me by Friday, I will automatically award the prize to the runner-up. Okay, so please make sure that if you win, you contact me immediately, all right, as soon as you can. All you have to do is go to the description of the video or click on where it says other, and you'll see my email address there. Send me your information, your name, your address, and your phone number, and I will use that information to have the pressure cooker or the pressure canner, not pressure cooker, the pressure canner sent to you via Amazon. Okay. Another disclaimer: if you live outside of the United States, the best I can do is provide you with an Amazon gift card for the price of the pressure canner, so that you can purchase it on your own. Okay, because I cannot afford the shipping that Amazon charges to ship outside of the United States. Okay, it's just way too much, right? So if you live outside the United States and you win, make sure that you understand that I will send you an Amazon gift card so that you can purchase the pressure canner through your own account. Okay, now remember to use my link if you do. I had to plug that in there, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so let's go ahead. Number 73. Number 73 is our winner. And who may that be? 73. 73 is Virginia Opel. Virginia Opel. Congratulations, Virginia. You are the winner of the T-Fal pressure canner. Outstanding. Congratulations. I'm very happy for you. I hope that this is a blessing for you and that you can put it to good use. Okay, so congratulations. Virginia, please get my email off of the description of the video, all right, of this video as well, and send me your information, and I will order this and have it shipped to your address, all right, as soon as Monday morning. As soon as I order it and the order has actually been placed, I will send you a confirmation number to your email to let you know that it has been ordered, and it will allow you to know when to expect it to come in the mail. Okay, so again, Virginia, congratulations, and thank you very much for being part of our community. Let's go ahead and pick the runner-up. The runner-up is going to be number 95. Let's see, who is our runner-up? Our runner-up is Randall Miner. Randall, you are the runner-up. If for some reason Virginia does not get a hold of me by this coming Friday, I will send you reply to you on the comment that you left and let you know that I need your information so that I can ship you the pressure canner. Okay, so congratulations, Virginia and Randall. Congratulations if Virginia doesn't contact me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for participating in this, and I want to thank you guys for everything that you do as far as commenting and helping each other out. Okay, hey, ladies and gentlemen, Little Miss Alaska Prepper just walked by and reminded me, listen, if you're enjoying this, if you enjoy these videos, please share them. Please give me a like. All right, that really helps a lot in reaching other people in the in the YouTube community who may be like-minded, maybe like-minded to us. So please give it a like, please give it a share, and by all means, please do comment. Say congratulations to Virginia for winning the pressure cooker. Very excited for her, as this is a very nice pressure canner. I keep saying cooker, but it's canner. All right, so thank you, everyone. For those of you that may be new to the channel and that are only here for the first or second time and haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe. You'll find out that this is a great community, all right? And I really appreciate every one of you, and I can tell that you guys appreciate each other, and that's the most important thing to me. All right, you guys are getting a lot out of each other's comments and out of each other's encouragements, and I hope that you are getting something from these videos that I put up. So thank you very much to everyone for all of your comments, all right, and for all of your support. Ladies and gentlemen, so what's going to happen now, like I told you, is I'm going to wait until this starts doing this, it starts doing this little thing, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the timer on for 10 minutes, all right, and then once that 10 minutes is up, then I'm going to go ahead and start it over again for 90 minutes. This one, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, this one's already starting to get up to steam. And this one here, the T-Fal pressure canner, actually has a pressure gauge that tells you what the pressure is at. So what I'm going to do is once this has been steaming really good for about 10 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and move my weight over to number 3. Okay, because I've noticed that number 3 keeps my pressure at about 12 and a half pounds, which is just over what I needed. All right, so I'm going to bring you guys back once this is done processing, okay, so that I can show you what it looks like. I'm not going to be able to show you what the jars look like 12 hours after it's done processing, because 12 hours from now will be pretty close to our premiere and I need time to upload this video. Okay, so what I'm going to do is after this is done processing, I'm going to let it sit. All right, once your 90 minutes are up, ladies and gentlemen, or 75, whichever one you choose, once your time is up, what you're going to do is you're going to turn the burner off. You're going to turn it off. You're going to walk away. You're not going to try to let the steam out. You're not going to do anything. You're just going to walk away. You're going to let everything cool down and settle down on its own. Once the pressure is at zero, okay, at zero, you can then come and turn your weight back to the open position where it is now. Okay, same thing here. Once the pressure here is at zero, you can come and take your weight off. All right, once you take your weight off, you're going to wait another 10 or 20 minutes and then you can open your pressure canner. Okay, do not be in a hurry to open it after it's done. All right, that's one of the most important part of the processing process, is to let it sit so it can work on giving itself a good seal. Okay, as you can see, you'll be able to know on the Presto if you have zero pressure, if this goes down. Okay, if this is down, when this is down on its own, you can take off the weight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we will talk to you in a few minutes and we will show you what it looks like after they come out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. This is the finished product. As you can see, these things are still bubbling. All of the jars aren't out yet. Some of them are still in the other canner. They're still, I guess, cooling down a little bit. Not that they're going to get cool anytime soon, but they're not ready for me to take out just yet. All right. So I just wanted to cover a couple real quick things before I let you all go. All right. First of all, thank you very much for joining in today. All right. Always have a lot of fun chatting with you guys on these premieres. But just remember that once you take these jars out, okay, well, first of all, let me tell you that after I let the canner get down to zero, okay, I left this alone for at least 20 minutes after it got down to zero, right? And then I went ahead and I opened this up to the open position, okay? So I took the weight from where I had it at 3, and then I put it to the open position, make sure that there's absolutely no pressure left in there. I left it alone for 20 minutes, and then I came over here and I opened it just a little bit, and then I left it alone for another 10 minutes to let the steam out. Now, this is what I do. You don't necessarily have to do that, but I do that as a precaution to make sure that these jars don't cool down too quick, all right, so that they can continue the sealing process for the next, 12 to 16 or so hours. So I'm going to leave these jars here alone. And as you can see that some of these jars have a little bit of water, oil, or whatever on top, don't touch it. Leave them just the way they are. Don't touch them for the next 12 to 16 hours. All right, so I won't be touching these jars till tomorrow afternoon. All right, it's Saturday evening right now. I won't be touching these till Sunday afternoon. They'll be right where they're at. And their partners are going to go right next to them. And it's going to be the same thing with them, all right, with the other 8 jars or so that I have left to take out. All right, so once you've left them alone on the counter for 12 to 16 hours, preferably closer to 24 hours, then you can go ahead, take the rings off, put them under the water, wash them up with a little bit of soap and water, and then put them away. Okay, but it's important that you leave these alone, that you don't touch them, so they can continue the sealing process, and so that the jars won't crack. If you took some of these jars right now and you tried to wash them off or rinse them off under water, it is very likely that they can crack and you can get hurt. Okay, so that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that those of you that haven't tried this yet, give it a try. All right, because it's, not only is it very gratifying, but it will save you a lot of money in the long run. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this right here. There's what? 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16 jars right here, right? I have another, there's 24 jars. That's 24 meals, okay? I'm looking at 24 meals for my family, all right? Because like I said, each one of these jars usually takes care of a meal for the protein part of the meal, that is, okay? Obviously, they're supplemented with side starches like rice or potatoes, vegetables, etc. But when you think about it, even from a practical standpoint, even if you don't believe that something's going to happen where you're going to need to have stored food, there's been plenty of times that my wife or I haven't had time to cook a meal from scratch. All right, we just grab one of these jars and we put something together with it real quick. All right, it's very easy to do. All right, all you have to do is be patient and follow the process the correct way so that you can be safe. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you very much to all of you for joining in today. If you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button. All right, please give this a like and share with someone you love. All right, thank you very much again for joining in, ladies and gentlemen. God bless all of you. Remember that when good people do good things happen. All right, remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know it will be a better place. It's kind of late, ladies and gentlemen. I'm kind of tired. I've been messing with this all day. All right, many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I'm out. God bless.